Yee'seh'eh. Welcome to the Indigenous 21 podcast. Ni'sami vaya yan hopi matsuwa, but you can call me JD.
But you can call me Didi.
We are your two hosts. We're back. We've been on hiatus for a while. So a couple stories that we want to share with you guys, though. I kind of just wanted to do a brief introduction to those of you guys in the YouTube world who might be stumbling across this video. What have we done in the past? I don't know how many episodes, like at least 10. I know you've kind of gone back and re-listened to a lot of them. Yeah. Which is what actually inspired us to okay, let's restart this again. It was a good project that we had in mind because we wanted to showcase, there's all these different stories you hear about natives in their communities, but it's usually from outside sources coming into interview. Right. We wanted to be natives from the native community.
Telling our own narratives.
Yeah. So what are some topics that you like that we've done so far?
My favorite one was when we did the podcast about the teachers. When COVID was first running rampant, we had both Mindy and her friend on the podcast with us. I think that was my favorite, mainly because we were still really green to the podcasting world, and it caught my mistake. I remember when it stopped, when I didn't hit the record button for our part of it, for our side, an honest mistake.
But also, I know that a lot of people have commented our dynamic that we have as brother and sister, just on the mics. I want us to do a whole lot more. You have a story since when we last cut the project, and now we're wanting to come back. But there's a big story in terms of what you went through in your own life situations.
For those of you that have been wondering where we've been this whole time, what we've been doing, I know it's been at least maybe a year or two since our last podcast. When we started the podcast, COVID was a major hit throughout all of Indian country, all of our communities. So we were kind of just trying to pick up the pieces from the aftermath of all that, trying to figure out what the new normal was. And then also, like he said, we just had a couple of tough breaks that we kind of had to deal with and just work through.
I've been doing my art business, which has consumed a lot of my personal creative time. For those of you who do not know, I am originally a YouTube content creator, and that channel has been inactive since before COVID, really. I think 2020 was like the last major productivity where I've constantly uploaded content, and just me realizing I'm no longer in my 20s anymore. So that not necessarily midlife crisis, but I'm not a kid anymore is really starting to hit me. But there's some topics that I have definitely wanted to tackle, and pulling on some more people. I'm pretty sure you've had some ideas too, of other people you wanted to pull on. One of the guests that we have featured that I'm really proud of is our Pima County recorder. While she was still campaigning before she won her election, what are your thoughts on that? How that interview went too with Gabby?
I just thought that was so much fun. Right out the gate, she had already set a brand, I'm pretty sure without meaning to, particularly with her logo, that really stuck in everybody's mind, being that she's the first Native American recorder for Pima County.
What about her logo stood out to you, though?
It was really authentic.
If you could describe it.
Yeah, it combined both traditional and modern times, with her being in her traditional dress, and then on the scooter. It just captured the everyday Native girl in today's world, her bringing her culture forward into the new world. I just thought it was a perfect blend. I forget the slogan, but it's Otam woman, coming your way, or out of the way, Otam woman coming through, something like that.
Some things I also want to mention too is my activity on the TikTok app, which there is a huge Native community on there as well. But more so specifically, it's a limited amount of, I have the capability if I wanted to post videos from my computer to TikTok, which could be up to 10 minutes long. I like the just recording and upload feature.
Right.
And so I'm limited in that, where it's only 3 minutes long, but I've been a part of so many different discussions pertaining to the Native community about identity as an artist, as a two-spirit identifying person, so those are more topics that I want to bring to this space.
Yeah.
What are some things you miss about this podcast?
The amount of unpacking of ideas that we had. Of course, getting to sit down with you at least once a week or whatever, taking the time to have these discussions. We've always had these discussions anyway in our, whenever we're visiting one another, when we were in the car, when we are at dinner. I guess we don't have surface level discussions when we talk. Even, play devil's advocate in our conversations.
In terms of input, right? If we're really honest with someone and like, this is what I think, we're usually not the ones to just be like, yeah, I agree with you. We're usually the ones to like, what about this, like push the other perspective.
As far as you and I go, we don't give one another any slack
Yeah.
in those terms. We're not afraid to play devil's advocate
or to call out one another.
Yeah, even though we know it's gonna not be pleasant to the other's ear, we still do it anyway, because I think as far as our relationship goes, it's one of the most authentic in the truest form of that word. You and I have been through a lot, and of course, growing up together, we've had some gone through the typical
sibling rivalry. Not necessarily rivalry, because there's a distance of years between us.
Resistance, irritation, and then ultimately accepting of what one another's shortcomings are, and I guess filling in for those gaps, when we need it to.
But also, for the sake of our audience, I just want to let you guys know too that like when we do have these conversations, it's about me talking about her son, who was now 18, is now an adult, and we're talking about like his plans for his future. Like what has he done? What does he want to do? What is his motivation? Our parents are also getting up there in age. So like us experiencing that life too. And like, what do we got to do to prepare mom and dad for this and that? And just the shifts that we've seen, that like they're slower now. And then myself with my marriage, I've been married for 4 years now. And, you have some input about my married life too, as well. So, all these, again, these adult changes that we experience, because we still talk about memories when we were the kids and the experiences of, we also bring up lost family members and just those different experiences. I really think that not enough people from the Native community are fortunate enough to have these types of discussions with their families. And so this is a way for me and my sister to invite you guys to have a sit down with us, contemplate about some of these ideas. And if you want to contribute, there's always the comments. Anchor also allows you to send us voicemail messages. I really like the idea of having us create this space, because I know some people have told you that that's what it created for them in terms of our particular lifestyles as Indigenous people in the 21st century. So.
Exactly. Basically, when we thought of, okay, what are we going to call this? And we kind of basically thought, okay, we're going into it, building a company, I guess. And that's the way I thought.
Yeah, building a brand.
Yeah, I don't like using that word brand, but but yeah, I guess so. So when we came up with the concept in an Indigenous 21 came to mind, and it's like, well, we're still Indigenous people. We're living in the 21st century. Yeah, we want to carry our traditions, from the past forward, but we also want to evolve as people. So there's a lot of different stories, a lot of different narratives that we want people to use Indigenous 21 as the opportunity for you to get your stories out, your narratives.
Whether if you're still res, whether if you're urban, whether if you grew up with the culture, whether if you're still wanting to reconnect with that culture, because we all have our own stories. The biggest thing too that I just want to put out there, the TikTok, Native community TikTok, very, very diverse. And the number one thing that I have learned from that is how not only regionally, but even tribally, we all have our own histories in terms of our relationships with those colonization throughout our history. Our tribal perspective might not be accepted, or the same experience of like another tribal group. And so that's just one thing that we want to put out there. Like, yes, we're going to respect that, but also just give everybody the opportunity to still share part of their story.
Yeah, we don't expect anybody to be in agreement, and that's fine. Everybody, like we said, just have different ways of life, different ways of upbringing, different historical history. That might have happened, to their nations as we've gotten to the 21st century. So, and it's all valid as far as, your feelings, the way it happened to you in your life and how it unfolded. But then there's also, there are some of us that didn't experience the same empaths. So, and it's fine. We don't have to be in agreement, but just respective of a different perspective, I guess. if you want to be a part of the podcast. If you're not shy about it, please reach out to us and we'll get back to you as soon as we can.
On that, though, I will say it has been really difficult. I really am appreciative of the people that we've been able to feature in our podcast. But yes, overcoming that shyness is the biggest thing. But again, it's culturally, right? We're not supposed to be heard as younger people, or people just don't like being seen on camera. So there's ways where we could have you join us. If you don't want to show your face, you don't have to. We can just have audio on if you'd prefer, because we do go into a lot of heavy, deep subjects, and some, you know, it is a sense of vulnerability. And, you know, if you'd wish to rather remain anonymous, but still have your say and sharing your voice, we could definitely work with you on that. Yeah. So yeah, go ahead and check out social medias, the Indigenous 21 YouTube channel, Indigenous 21 on Facebook and on Instagram. Be sure to comment in the YouTube channels. And yeah, we hope to see you guys and engage with us back again as we relaunch the I-21 podcast.
New season,
we have missed this. Yeah.
It's season 2.
Yeah. How do we close? What was the ending? How do we close these? How do we wrap? And that concludes our intro to the podcast channel for Indigenous 21. I am your host, JD.
And this is Dorian. You can call me Dee Dee.
And you will hear us in the next episode. Until then, take care, and we will...
The official episode.
Yes. Take care, and we will see you guys around. Thanks for listening.
Bye.